So Shedeur Sanders finally got on the field for his official NFL debut in the second half of the Ravens game. It was probably the most electric 10 seconds I've ever been in the stadium for, and then reality quickly struck. This was an awful game for Shedeur to play in with no reps. I promise you I'm not going to come into this video and just make a bunch of excuses for him, because honestly we learned so much from this debut in terms of what Dillon Gabriel has been dealing with as well throughout this season, because at the end of the day, nobody cared, nobody wanted to put up with Dillon Gabriel, nobody gave him excuses, but as soon as Shedeur comes in, now we see that the Browns have an old and washed up offensive line. Now we really see how nobody is ever open, and we definitely saw how poorly coached this team was. I mean, for the entire game in total, the offense put up only 3 total points. Only 3. The rest was a pick six by the defense and a muffed punt. The offense is horrendous, and I don't think any quarterback could even come close to fixing some of these core issues. But yeah, outside of the hype, Shedeur's first few drives were kind of what you could have expected. He had 0 time to throw. He made a horrible decision throwing one right to the Ravens defense. He nearly had 2 interceptions. But with no reps with the first team, with the way he has been treated, he was straight up set up for failure. Again, NFL teams do know what they're doing at the end of the day. There's a reason Sanders was passed up by every team over 4 times in the draft. But his debut was not what you would think. I was actually at this game in person, so I was able to film most of the plays, so I want to break down what truly happened, the bad habits he continued to do, the bad throws, but then I want to show how much he improved and adjusted on that final drive. I'm very interested to see what he can do on a full week of practice with the ones, because even though his debut was horrendous, it did not go well, he still showed more upside than Gabriel, who can only dink and dunk. I know Kevin Stefanski lied and said the playbook was open for Shedeur in his press conference, but let's be honest, when you have no reps, your timing is not going to be there. NFL playbooks are super complex, and Stefanski gave him no reps to be ready for this chance, for this opportunity. And honestly, today exposed just the malpractice of the Browns organization from top to bottom, because this all started when things began at training camp. They had Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett taking all the main reps, 2 guys who were off the team by week 5. And then you bring the rookies in with 0 offensive line, no weapons to work with, 4 illegal formations a game. The Browns are just an awful organization. I would hate to be drafted by them. They really do just set you up for failure from the beginning. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the game film I was able to get and capture to see what we have to work with. Here in shotgun, there was 3 to the right, Judy on the outside, and when Shedeur saw this play develop, he saw there was nothing on the right side, so he stepped up and went left for a decent chunk. Shedeur all game long was running for his life because the O-line can't block to save their lives. We're on like our 8th string left tackle. It's embarrassing. Does he need to get rid of his terrible habit of spinning and doing too much behind the line of scrimmage? Yes, but there were multiple plays I filmed where literally not even 2 full seconds of counting after the snap, a Ravens defensive lineman was right in his face. And it's been the same for Dillon Gabriel. That's why I'm saying I don't think anyone right now could come in and save this team, especially a rookie quarterback. They got no reps and did not prepare to play in this game. I mean, this is one of the main plays I really want to highlight. I sent this to my one buddy who was kind of mocking Shedeur after the game. He's a Steelers fan though, so that figures. He gets the ball snapped to him, and not even a full count to 2 Mississippi later, he is getting sacked. I mean, there are D3 college football lines that could hold better, albeit the talent gap on the other side. Joel Bitonio has really been struggling to keep his man in front of him as he ages. The left side of the line has been a major problem for Dillon all year. It definitely needs to be fixed by next season. Here, this play, switching sides of the field, was a little bit on Shedeur, but still at the same time, nobody was open and he did not have much time to look beyond his initial first read. He finally actually got rid of the football on this play. If Shedeur is starting next week against Vegas, they need to spend a lot of time prepping him to get rid of the football and not taking sacks, because it's not college anymore. The talent level on the defensive line is just, it's such a difference from what he saw at Colorado. He needs to get rid of the football. Dillon is horrendous at it too, because he can't even see over the line. And a lot of young QBs in general are just bad at it, because when you're young, you think you can make every play and be a hero. But Shedeur took a record-breaking amount of sacks at Colorado, and if he doesn't break this bad habit, he will in the NFL too. Now here, this was the 4th down play with the game on the line. Once again, he was pressured. I did an awful job of keeping it in frame with the video. When the all-22 film comes out tomorrow, I will really be able to break this one down, but he avoids the pressure. Njoku actually does have a sliver of space, and no pun intended, it would have had to have been perfect timing to make this play happen. But the communication and ball placement was just a tad off the entire second half. Shedeur threw a beautiful ball to the left corner of the end zone before this, but it was broken up by the Ravens secondary. Overall, there were a lot of things I saw from Shedeur that did give me confidence in him moving forward if the Browns give him time to learn the system like they did Dillon. Again, I know Shedeur was awful today, but I'm still done with Dillon. He's too small. He led the Browns offense to put up 3 points in the first half. There's just no upside left. He is not fast enough to take off and be mobile. There is nothing about his game that is NFL caliber, and I stand by that. And for the fans, he's boring to watch. At least with Shedeur, since the season is over, he had some excitement and a reason to watch, and that alone should be enough to make the decision to start him. Looking at some of the team numbers from this game and just giving my reaction to this thing as a whole, the offense just has to be better. Only 115 passing yards in total, no touchdowns. Judkins had 60 yards. It felt like he had a great game, but under 60 yards off 17 carries is not that good. Nick Chubb would do that in 3 carries. But again, the line is just so trash, so who knows what he could do behind an actual competent line. And when your leading receiver in Tillman only has 52 yards, you know the offense is super dry and it's just not producing. So yeah, my takeaway is to give Shedeur a week to prepare and learn this offense, learn the playbook, and get at least some cohesion with the receivers. Even a week is not enough because most guys have an entire off season, and then during the season they are getting at least a percentage of the reps even as the backup. This has been malpractice by Kevin Stefanski. There was no game plan for Shedeur. It was honestly pointless drafting him because they're not even giving him a real opportunity even though he's out there. It showed today, but at least after a week, we will then actually know what Shedeur is, because it's unfair to say, hey, go in there against that Ravens defense with no preparation, Dillon Gabriel's game plan, and go in there and try to do something. 9 times out of 10, what happened today is going to happen. That's going to be the result. And the Raiders are a much better matchup to go against anyways. I was hoping that was going to be the game where he finally got his first start. So next week should be interesting if Shedeur does play. A game like today really makes me miss Callahan. This offensive line has just not been good since. Until the line is fixed, the Browns will never find their franchise quarterback. This line was horrible for Watson last year. It was bad for Flacco. It was bad for Dillon. It was bad for Shedeur today. This is the real main problem of the offense. Yeah, the receivers have stunk it up, but if you watch other teams, if you watch that Bills vs. Buccaneers game today, it really does seem like an entirely different sport. Plays have time to develop. It's just so different. So I'm going to make a ton of content this week as the actual film comes out, breaking down this game, breaking down what Shedeur did, and I really want to focus on next week against the Raiders because all eyes are going to be on that one. Overall, if I had to grade this performance from Shedeur, I would give him a D+. Some of the things that happened were his fault, some of the things weren't. He's got to be better. There are no excuses. I'm going to treat him the same way that I treat Dillon. I have to because I know I've been biased, especially over the offseason with this race. But again, it's just so obvious the Browns have problems within that even Prime Brady would not be able to fix. So I think today made me realize we should have cut Dillon Gabriel a little more slack this season. Obviously, he has been awful. He has no upside. I'm fine with the experiment being over, but he was set up to fail. Shedeur is being set up to fail. I'm just so tired of this organization, and it feels like it's never going to change. Shedeur literally threw his first ball to Judy in 8 months today, and that pretty much tells you all that you need to know. That's all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. Let me know what you thought about this game and this debut in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet because your support truly means the world. Also, let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.